you up here. I can see you. Give me a minute. I want to be able to see your comments. All right. There we go. Yep. C sharp. Stedman, I see you. Patrick, I see you. Thank you, Patrick. What's up, Tyrone? Bass bat, all right. Rodney, what's up, man? Jerry, what's up, man? Melvin, what's up? Christoph, what's up, dude? Kelvin, I see you. All right, see here, nice tune, and you are very active. Yeah, I'm moving over it a little bit. This is a tune I'm writing. Not quite finished with it yet, but yeah, I'm working on this tune. Hopefully, it will be available in 2020. More than likely, it'll be a collab song. Not gonna talk too much about it because I don't want to give all the details away. But y'all are hearing a section of the song. It's gonna be pretty cool when we finish it. Let's see here. This is really amazing. Love it, and I'm learning from it. Thank you, bro. Be blessed, man. Deli, I appreciate that. So yeah, I'm just kind of waking my fingers up this morning. Sorry about last week, guys. I was completely under the weather again. I got it again. So I'm better this week, but yeah, last week it was pretty rough on me. I tried to get up last Tuesday morning and I couldn't do it. I mean, I had all the plans, I had my topic in my mind that I wanted to speak about, and it didn't happen. I just had too much going on. I couldn't get up. Oh yeah, man, the fret wraps, they're cool. They come in handy. I've been using them for years now, so they come in handy for me, man. So yeah, by all means. So I got some effects happening on this bass with using Logic here. Just like a slight little reverb or something. But there are tons of other effects that you can use as well. Let's see here what else we can pull up. Let's see if I can get a delay going here. So like that. That might be overkill though. Let's see here. Let's back it up a little bit. Do I use an EQ pedal? Not really, man. I try not when it comes to bass. I generally try to EQ straight from my bass, and my rig is typically set pretty flat because I try not to over EQ when it comes to my bass. I really don't like to over EQ. I mean, because we got those built-in preamps on the bass. Most of them have that built-in preamp, and so I try to take advantage of that and really kind of utilize what's there on the bass on board. So yeah, I really don't get too much into a preamp or EQ or whatever EQ pedal when it comes to my bass. But it depends on the bass, it depends on the person, the preference, and that kind of thing. Some people want to have a little bit more control. Now the Spectra drive that I am using, I have used the EQ on that Spectra drive. To be honest, when I use it the most is when I feel my strings are dying, and so I want to boost a little bit more of the the clarity of it, and I might boost the treble just a little bit to get a little bit more cut. And depending on the situation, I might boost the low end just to get a little bit more bottom. But other than that, I try not to use too much EQ. I'm not saying nothing is wrong with it, but just me personally, generally what I'm hearing in a live setting or what I'm hearing just naturally come out of the bass, I'm generally okay. I'm okay with it. Without that reverb there. Let's see. Yeah, you hear it. There we go. I'm generally okay with what I'm hearing there. I forgot my groove. So yeah, I'm pretty cool with what I'm hearing from the bass without doing too much EQing and that kind of thing. So, but yeah, I'm again just warming the fingers up this morning and getting it broke in, Paris, France. Who is that? What's up? What's up? What's going on? Let's see. Let's jump in here. Thank you, man. What's up, Jerome? Appreciate that. Add a little reverb. See if I can take it to another section where it builds a little bit more. Let's see, I think it's here. My sound just came on this computer. Sorry about that. Let's see here. Let's see if I can loop that. I like that. So when I'm looping that section, it's just kind of making me hear something different, and I can play over that too. What was that Christoph said? F911, but it seems like you're tuned in E flat. Yeah, I am tuned in E flat. So so you have meet you one day. That's my dream. Let me know at your next event. I can book it. Okay, Deli, I'll definitely will do that. I try to let you guys know in advance when I'm going to be in different places. I try to get a little bit better about that. Where are you, Deli? You probably said it earlier, but I don't remember what it was. God richly bless you, man. Thank you. I appreciate that. Let's see here. See what we can build off of that. Yep, I still use SIT strings. Power. So I use Power Wound Nickel by SIT strings. You'll notice them in most of my videos. I'll have them out where you guys can see which strings I use. So Power Wound Nickel by SIT strings. Now I do use custom gauges, but they, all in all, they're still the same, standard. Well, the set is the Power Wound Nickel by SIT strings. So let's see here. Paris, I hope to get there. I hope to get to Paris one day. But yeah, Orlando, Florida, man, I definitely want to come there. And here's the thing, guys, I mentioned this before. I would love to come to your cities, but I got to know you're going to show up when I get there. So I think I'm going to do a petition or something like that, do a contract. So you guys have to show up when I come to your city. I want to see you there. I don't want to come down there and be in a room by myself and nobody shows up. Oh man, I was working and I had a gig. I want you canceling all gigs. You got to take a day off, whatever it is. When I come to your city, I bet, especially y'all that's here on the lives, I better see you when I come to your city. Christoph, if I come to France, man, you better be there. All right, so let's see. Are they expensive? No, they're not expensive, man. They're I gotta look up what they are on. I mean, like maybe 20-30 bucks, something like that. I gotta look them up online. I endorse them, so my deal is different from everybody else's. But yeah, so I definitely want to come to you all's cities, and I'm still working some of the details out for planning a lot of this stuff. I have a lot of stuff that I need to follow through on for 2020. I'm not just dragging my feet. It's all strategic. I don't want to just jump out there and make a flop, so to speak. It has to be planned right in the right way. Oh yeah. While we're on the subject of music, have you guys downloaded the new single that I did with Jonathan Dubose on guitar? The name of it is Burdens Down. I forgot to mention this in the the post I did a couple of weeks ago. I completely forgot to mention it. Hold on, what is that? Do you find any interest in tuning half a step down? The strings are muddy for me. Yeah, absolutely. I actually do. I love tuning half step down. Like I said in tons of other videos, having access to that. Come on, man, we're gospel cats. So having access to that low B flat, E flat, A flat, having access to those lower notes definitely is a plus in gospel music, because a lot of the keys are in flat keys. So yeah, definitely having access to those notes is always a plus. And it's not necessarily money for me. It's not that big of a difference for me personally. You hit that low B. If your bass is EQ right, I think it cuts the way it's supposed to cut. For me personally, it's just my personal preference. I need you in Greenville, South Carolina. Looking forward to it. But how do I find your single? It's here on, it's everywhere online, as far as all digital platforms online, as well on YouTube. I actually, if you're gonna listen to it on YouTube, make sure you make it part of a playlist. Play it all the time. Play it all the time. I need them streams from y'all, so I need you to it's me, Jonathan Dubose, Colby Straughter. So look up Jermaine Morgan, Jonathan Dubose, Colby, Colby Straughter, Straughther. Now that's a long last name to spell, but if you look up Jermaine Morgan and Jonathan Dubose, more than likely you'll find it. But yeah, and what that is, we went back to my Mississippi Quartet church roots with that particular song. So it's not a whole bunch of all over the bass. You know, I am playing a little solo on there, but it's not extreme. But don't sleep on it. It's a good grooving song, have you stumping your foot and having a good time, especially towards the end of the song. It's a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to record with one of my guitar heroes, Jonathan Dubose. I grew up listening to him, and you know, as of recent, I've have the opportunity to slightly be mentored by him. So to be able to record with a guitar legend has been an absolute pleasure. So I encourage you guys to take a listen. Take a listen to that, man. Jerome McCarthy, thank you. I appreciate that. I know lots of bass players here who would love to do a master class with you. The number of bass players raising every time. Oh, that's awesome, man. That's awesome. I mean, but you got to think of the monster players that y'all have out there. Hadrian, for one, who's from there. I mean, it's just so many killer players. Borelli Lagreen, who's, a monster guitar player and bass player. I don't know all the cats, but I know those two for sure who are monsters. So you guys have a lot of killer players there. So I would love to come. Hopefully one day I'll get there soon. Let's see here. Let's play with this section a little bit. If you had a section in the song like that, if I was playing the bass, not soloing, but just playing the bass line in the song like that, and we looped a section like that, that oftentimes happen in music where you loop a section. Thanks for the backing tracks you have. Man, thank you. Thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, I'm putting out a whole bunch of backing tracks for you guys to practice to. So just like I'm doing now, you could just jam and jam and jam, especially for you guys who don't have anybody to jam with. I'm trying to recreate that for you with different styles of backing tracks and that kind of stuff. So be sure to check out all of the bass backing tracks that I'm creating for you. I think there are like 11 or 12 somewhere out there now that are available. So be sure to check all of those out. And I've been doing a few more videos lately to kind of show you how to navigate through the tracks. But the cool thing about the tracks, even if I don't put up a video, majority of all the tracks, they start off with 4 to 8 bars of me playing the bass and giving you an idea of the bass line. And then you can kind of go into your own thing after hearing that. So yeah, make sure you take advantage of that, Tyrone. So, yeah, I've been enjoying those backing tracks. Man, it's my pleasure. It's my pleasure. So here again with this, if I was playing the bass line for this, right here, so now you can play substitutions. Flat 7. Got where I was at. Doing now, I'm playing off of the melody. I'm playing off of the melody, and generally in a situation where it's live, you would have the keyboard player, would you get them to adjust the chord, and so you could just play off the melody. So now I'm going to take the main keys out because the keys are playing the same chord over the two, and I don't want that. So I say I'm going to take that out, and I'm going to just use the melody, and once we just have that melody there, you can kind of go wherever you want to go. So let me make sure. Alright, so I took the other keys out. So. Oh yeah, going to grab your new 6-string bass, sweet. What's up, y'all? Flat 7. I'm playing off of the that flat 7. So I'm playing off of that, and everything I was doing as far as soloing was built around that, but still keeping the melody in mind. So another thing I'm just kind of doing, I know y'all hearing a lot of stuff, but another thing I'm doing is I'm playing around the drum feel that he was playing. He was like on the backbeat when he's doing his turnaround feel. So like, saying he as if I'm not playing that, but yeah. So anyway, the drums. So like just that different subdivision. Are you using chords? Yeah, I was. So so you different type of rhythms when you're thinking about soloing and you just get tired of doing it, the same, just playing the same type rhythms, and you want to break up the rhythms without playing a whole bunch of crazy stuff. Just change the rhythm of it up. So like just you know what I'm saying? So putting it on the backbeat instead of like on the down. Just different stuff that you can do, just moving it around, just keeping it going, so that way your solo doesn't become redundant. I'm staying kind of in the same section, keeping it simple without going too far. I'm like staying within the major scale and just playing around that different stuff with the major pentatonic and major scale. Still the all major scale. Just different stuff, but I'm just changing the rhythm of it. That's making it sound like I'm playing something different, when in actuality it's the same thing, just switching the placement of the notes. So again. As you can hear, just major stuff, major scale. All right, so let's see here. The topic today, now that I've played for an hour almost, the topic that I had was, what was the topic that I had? Take risk. Take risk, don't be afraid. You hear me doing that right now in my playing. And it's not so much regarding playing only. I think I'm in a place, I don't think, I know for sure I'm in a place of where I'm definitely taking a lot of risk. I'm definitely taking a lot of risk, and I encourage you guys to do the same. You don't want to get to the point in your life where you get older and you realize that you haven't done much in the regard of taking any risk, stepping out there, trying something that you have a thought, a vision, or an idea about. You don't want to look back over your life when you're like 60, 70 and wishing you had done this, and I wish I had done that when I had the opportunity. I wish I had took a chance on myself, but I didn't because I was scared. I wanted to play it safe and all this kind of stuff. Let me tell you guys this from experience, especially you up and coming musicians who are hoping to do this for a living one day. This is a risky business. And there are parts of this that can also be very, very safe as a musician. I know that's like an oxymoron, but it is. It's very risky in terms of being a musician. As with any job, with this, nothing is guaranteed. Thank you, Marcus. With this, nothing is guaranteed. Nothing is guaranteed. Granted, on any other job, you don't really have much guaranteed there either, but at least there's consistency for the most part, and you have an idea of where things are headed. But when it comes to being a musician, it's so unpredictable because your job could be based on how Taiwan, what's up? What's going on, John? I appreciate you. I appreciate you watching the base videos. But like I said, your job, if you do happen to land a position, it can be so risky depending on um, who's in charge, where you end up gigging. Like if you gigging with a band and y'all are playing a night club or whatever the case may be, whatever gig you're playing, it depends on the person who hired you, how they're feeling at the moment. Or if your entire unit is everybody is only okay or only up and up consistently, everybody's showing up learning music, making sure that y'all are presenting. It's like you can lose a job at the drop of a hat when it comes to being a musician, whereas there's a little more stability when it comes to the typical 9 to 5 situations or the typical other fields of study. There's less likely chance that you would lose your job on a daily basis. But when it comes to a musician, you don't even really have a guaranteed job. So sometimes even having the skills, because a lot of people go to school for music and all that type of stuff, but there is no guarantee of anything once you finish all of that. Once you finish all the studying, I have a lot of friends of mine that talk about, man, I'm going to go to school for music, as if that's the answer. That helps you to improve your skill. It helps you to know a little bit more. Well, I'm not going to even say that helps you to improve your skill. That gives you access on a regular basis that helps you to potentially improve your skill. You practicing and putting the time in is what's really going to improve your skill. Not going to school, but actually putting the time in to learn your craft is what's going to help you improve your skill. I did go to college, but it wasn't necessarily a technical school that taught me how to play. I already knew how to play before I got there. But most of the stuff I learned was on my own. I just had access to more information, access to more people to ask more questions, but it didn't necessarily make me a better musician. I think me putting the work in, me putting the time in and doing what was necessary made me a better musician, and getting around the right people and hearing the right things. And by the grace of God, that helped me to become a better musician. Um, Always preaching the right message at the right time. Whoosh. Andre, man, I just try to share with you guys the truth about what it is. And just try to give you guys things so you're not led to believe. I know there's this false sense of, if I become that good, everything is going to be fine, and that's not always the case. I know some amazing players who are starving or close to. They have all the chops, they have all the information, and can't find a gig. You know what I'm saying? So it's a very risk. I'm not saying all this to discourage you guys. I'm just trying to give you the reality of what it is as a musician. Sometimes the best man doesn't always win, and you can do all of the stuff in terms of being ready, showing up prepared, all this kind of stuff. But you have to realize the point that I'm kind of driving home here. You have to realize, as a musician or whatever field that you decide to go into, life is seasonal. Some things are here for a season, and some things are gone for a season. And so if you ever find yourself, if you decide to jump out, if you're not already a professional musician, and if you decide to jump out and do this, and you find yourself in a season to where it seems like it's unproductive, don't give up on that. You know what I'm saying? Don't stop taking the risk. Don't stop seeking. Don't stop dreaming. Don't stop having those ideas of things you want to do in your mind, because and I don't know who this is for, but because you might be faced with a season that seems to be slow, you're not getting the calls, and you're putting in the work, you're doing your homework, you're learning the music, you're practicing your butt off, you're doing everything you need to do. Don't find yourself in a season where you like, yo, this is not for me, I'm done. You know what I'm saying? If you really have something that's worthwhile, you might have to regroup for a season. You might have to do something different. You might have to pick up a regular 9 to 5. But don't put down the main thing. If you know your main thing is music, don't put it down. Do what needs to be done. Most of the people who are successful, I hear them tell their success stories. And most of them, not all of them, but a lot of the people who have experienced major success, experience some type of major setback at some point in their life, where they could have easily given up on their dream. And they, Tyler Perry won, he just opened one of the biggest movie studios in the world, was living in his car at some point when he was trying to pursue his dream. Same thing with Steve Harvey, living out of his car. There's so many people, they started, like Steve Jobs started Apple in a garage, you know what I'm saying? And things weren't working, and he got actually let go from the company that he built for a while, while they kept going, but they fired him. So that was a major setback for him for a while. But of course, he brought about the iPhone, and that completely revolutionized the whole game. But each person that has major or has experienced major success has had a major setback. But these people didn't allow those setbacks to stop them from taking the risk and being afraid to take risk. You may have to take risk in other areas while you work on that dream, still keeping it in the back of your mind, or still having something working towards that end goal. You might have to do a little something else for a little while you're experiencing that slump, or while you're experiencing a drought and that kind of thing. So don't allow the lack thereof, or not finding the right things that you need, or not getting the right calls, that kind of thing. Don't allow that to make you feel like, man, I'm doing the wrong thing. I've been there. If I'm not careful, I could easily slip into that mindset now, because many of you know I'm in a transition state. I knew it my time. I was on a major gig as a music director for a church, and I knew it was my time to walk away. I didn't get fired or anything like that, but I did know it was time for me to change, in terms of change scenery, because I knew that was some other things I needed to get done, and some other things I needed to pursue that I've been pushing off for years. And so now, taking that leap of faith again at this point in my career, at 37 or 36 years old, when I took that leap, it can be very scary. And if you're not careful, it can be very disheartening, because things don't always look like you think they should look. But if you hold on to the bigger vision, as opposed to getting distracted by what you currently see, you know that there's a bigger end goal for you on the end. Let me read some of these comments. Good morning, my bro. What is it, my bro? Good morning. What's the name of the bass with the E at the head? You talking about Elric? You must be talking about Elric basses. Keep it up. This is really good for me. This is Courtney. Absolutely, Deli. You're so humble, brother, and I'm inspired by. Glad being interactive with you on this channel, man. Deli, it's my pleasure. Again, I have no reason to be arrogant. I've said this before, and as much as I get the opportunity, and as much as I can, I'm gonna remind you guys. What you hear from me, I'm not the greatest bass player in the world. That's my disclaimer right out of the gate. I know that. I'm very aware of that. And to be honest, I don't think nobody is the greatest in the world. It's a lot of people who are great and who are phenomenal and who have done amazing things, but none of us are the greatest, because the greatest hasn't been discovered yet. I might be one of the greatest at some point, but none of us can claim I'm the greatest of all time. You can't claim that, the whole GOAT scenario, because people are constantly coming up. There are going to be some people who do it really well, but some of us are going to be dead, and an amazing whatever is going to come about. And so they're going to take that claim to fame. You might be the greatest of this time for this next 2 weeks or this next 2 years. You might be the greatest doing it at the current moment, but you're not the greatest of all time. So, I know that might be room for argument, but that just encouragement to somebody. Just because someone is on top today, it doesn't mean they're going to stay on top. So just because somebody is way ahead of you in what it seems like to be, what you're trying to do, that doesn't mean they're going to always be there. I'm reading this book. What's up, Brazil City? I think I'm saying that right. G, no problem. I'm reading this book by Dean Graziosi called The Underdog Advantage. I'm not trying to promote his book or anything, but one of the things I'm noticing in this book is it's talking about people who have that underdog advantage. You feel like you kind of, been dealt the bad hand, or having to work through some situations and some circumstances that you would rather not have to work through. David, what's up, man? And figuring out how to use those things which you consider to be disadvantages, figuring out how to use those to your advantage, because it's those people who normally come up and take the goal. The underdogs, the person you was least expecting, that ends up being the one who comes out of nowhere. If they put all their energy, if they put all their might, all their resources to work and become resourceful rather, and put all those things to work for them, it's those people who come out of nowhere and take the goal. Because you have this person that you always expect. He's going to come out, he's going to kill every single year, but you have this one person nobody's been thinking about. And that's the thing that gives them the advantage. If they mess up while they're on their way to getting better, nobody really cares. They're not paying attention to you. So while people are overlooking you, just keep grinding. Just keep working on your skill. Just keep working on your craft. You're not getting called for gigs. Don't worry about it. There's a saying that says, if a man can't find the set of situations that he so desires, then he'll create them. A person that's resourceful will create the set of situations that he's looking for. If he can't find them, he'll create them. Me, I couldn't find gigs, and I told this story before. I couldn't find gigs, or the gig, let me rephrase that. The gigs that I wanted to do to exercise my artistry. I was a new artist. This is around 2012, 2013, somewhere in there. I had released my first project in 2011. I did a few gigs here and there. I didn't have a manager or anything like that. Still don't have a manager, but anything like that. So I was doing a lot of stuff on YouTube, performing a lot, putting a lot of content out of me playing, but that wasn't giving me enough interaction to grow. And you need that interaction as an artist, especially as a solo musician, or as any musician at that rate. You need the audience interaction to just kind of know, because you need feedback and constructive criticism, whether it's verbally or just by body language. You need that constructive criticism to see how people are responding to what it is I'm doing. What can I improve? How can I better connect with people if that's your desire? So I didn't have that situation going on. So what I did, because I didn't have a regular outlet to play my own music, I went to a local, I went to a pizza bar, basically. It's like a Johnny's Pizza that wasn't too far from where I lived. And I asked him, I said, yo, what's your slowest night? It's like, Tuesday night's my slowest night. I said, well, let me, if you don't mind, I'd love to come in and try to, help with your business. Because when you're trying to create a situation, it has to be a trade-off. You can't just show up like, what's your busiest night, and try to come in there, because somebody might already have that sold up, or they don't need your help on a night where they already have a lot of business. But if you're trying to go and talk, and this is a nugget for free, but if you're trying to go and negotiate a situation with a business, don't try to come in there on their busiest night. If you know Friday, Saturday, Sunday are their busiest nights, don't go for those nights. If you're trying to set up a situation with a restaurant, try early in the week. If they're slow on Mondays, they're slow on Tuesday, maybe in the afternoon around lunch hour, if they need a little bit more pizzazz during that time, try talking to them about, hey, let us come and do a 1 hour set during your lunch hour or something. Just something that's different, that sets you apart from everybody else, because everybody's running towards the same gigs. Find something that people aren't thinking about. A little coffee house or something. Have you guys considered doing an open mic night? Anything you can think of to create a situation. So I've done that with Johnny's Pizza. I said, let me come in there on Tuesday night, play for a few hours. And and from that experience, I was able to start pulling in some audience members, pulling in a crowd. And the only thing that worked against me in that regard was the fact that their service, I'm not gonna tell where the Johnny's Pizza was, but this particular one, their service sucked. And so a lot of the people that I had coming out, they decided not to come back because the service was so bad, and that worked against me. But as far as the experience and me learning, my whole life album, the album I have called Life, came from that experience. Me being able to go to Johnny's Pizza and play music for people, because my first couple of weeks there, I was playing stuff from my album, or playing stuff from my loop pedal, and I was seeing the type of stuff that worked for people, and I was seeing the type of stuff that didn't work for people. And how I knew these were not musicians coming in to listen to me play. These were just regular, average Joes that were just coming to eat pizza. So they could care less that I was back there playing music. No matter what I did, I had my bass, I had my guitar, my loop pedal, my laptop. I'm playing tracks, I'm doing all this kind of stuff. And I was no more than elevator music in there. And so people were ignoring me. And I started figuring out what worked. And I played a couple of songs that got their attention. And I noticed where people were, digging in their food, and normally they wouldn't pay me any attention. When I played something that they recognized, they started turning around in their seats and they started paying attention. And once I had their attention, all the other stuff I played, they began to enjoy it. But they didn't until I got their attention. So taking that risk and trying something completely different, just taking the risk to go talk to the guy, because he could have easily said, man, I don't want to let you come in here and do that. You know what I'm saying? Because I think I talked to several people before I got one to bite. And the guy that actually, allowed me to come in there and do that, I'm grateful. Sorry that their service sucked, but I'm grateful for the opportunity, because that helped me to grow, and that let me know that you can create the opportunities that you want. Now, if I wanted to continue down that path, I could have took that same motto and went somewhere else to a bigger city and asked them the same thing, or went to a hotel and, what's your slowest night, or I would like to provide some entertainment for your guests coming in on your busier days, that kind of thing. You just never know. You just never know what opportunities are available out there, and depending on where you are in your career and what you're trying to accomplish. That's the important thing. You can't be afraid to take risks. You can't be afraid to try something different. So those are the things that I'm, just trying to tell you guys to be mindful of when you're, you know what I'm saying, when you're doing this. Let's see here. I missed some comments. What is the interest? Let's see here. What is the interest to chase the first place? It is the best way to be unhappy. Yeah, it can be, Christoph, when you're trying to be first. I don't necessarily chase after other players. I learned to start chasing the guy in my head, the guy that I see myself, like getting that goal and getting that vision of who you want to be, and then chasing after that guy every day, chasing him down. I'm talking about being on his, chasing him down every single day, trying to catch your best version of who you are, whether it's in music, whether it's in family, as a dad, as a father, as a husband, as a friend, chasing the best version of who you see yourself being. The person that most of us pretend to be to everybody else, actually chasing that person down and trying to be that person every single day. And so, each day that you're chasing that person down, there's some things I gotta chop away. It's a bad attitude that I have. I easily get angry about certain things. I gotta get rid of that. Or I'm too impatient. I gotta work on that. Or I don't treat my wife like I used to when we started dating. I gotta work on that. I don't treat my husband, if it's women on here that's watching, I don't treat my spouse the way that I should, or I don't appreciate them the way that I should. I don't show appreciation to my fellow band members. If I'm a music director, or if I'm a band member, I don't show appreciation to my music director or my music leader enough. I don't give them enough respect for the work that they do, for consistently showing up, for getting the music out on time, for creating tracks, all this different stuff. We have to consistently look at ourselves and try to become the better version of us. Because that's one thing that I found, Christoph, to your statement about being unhappy, trying to be the first. One of the things that I found, when you continually chase the best version of yourself and you start accomplishing certain goals, and you see, like, I wanted to get up at 6 o'clock this morning. I got up at 6 o'clock this morning. Whatever your thing is, I'm just using for example. If you wanted to get up at 6 o'clock and you got up at 6 o'clock in the morning, you actually done it. I wanted to practice for an hour. I got practice in for an hour. I wanted to work out this morning and I got to work out. Whatever those goals are that you're setting and you're accomplishing them goals every single time, then it's going to add so much value to you, and you're going to feel so much better about yourself. That builds your self-esteem. That builds your self-confidence in what you can accomplish. Man, I set out to be able to play at the speed of 130, by the end of this month, and I'm like at 140 now. So that builds another level of confidence in your playing and what it is you're trying to do. I set out to create a gig just to make an extra $50 a week, and I ended up getting 150. it might not look like much to other people, and that's why you don't measure your success by what everybody else is doing. You measure your success by what you can do with what you're gifted with, and that kind of thing. So let me look at a few more comments before I get way behind. So Jack says, Jermaine, thanks for backing tracks. It's my pleasure, man. Just here to help. Watching from Africa, Kenya. Yes, sir. Um, Marcus, I'm in Austin, which is considered music capital. Let me know when you're here. Absolutely, I need to come to Austin. I think another friend told me that Austin was one of the music capitals. Good morning from Wilson, North Carolina. Yes, sir. Anthony, what's up, dude? Uh, and from Grenada, Caribbean. I've been listening to your videos. Uh, would like to arrange some private lessons because I need to up my game. Let's talk about it. And I had somebody else to email me wanted to know about private lessons this morning. So I generally don't offer private lessons because all of my stuff is video driven, the monthly membership and that kind of thing. But however, if you are interested in private lessons, what I'm basically telling everybody, if you sign up for the coaching calls on my website, we can substitute that same time for private lessons. And of course, once I'm booked up, that's all the time I have. I can't overextend my schedule. But if you are interested in private lessons with me, or if you want more talks like this, my coaching calls are for talks, just for me to give you advice, me to help, that kind of thing, help you in your career, give you some ideas from my experience that I have had. I have a lot of experience in the music industry. I don't go around flaunting all of my success and everything that I've done because I don't feel like it's necessary. It doesn't do anything for you guys, so I don't really talk about a lot of the things I've been able to accomplish. But I am here to help and to add value to you guys. So if you're looking for a coach, that kind of thing, you want to talk to me one-on-one, I do have coaching calls available on my website, JermaineMorgan.net, if you want to check those out. And if you rather use that time to improve your skills, we can use that same time, same amount for the sessions, but we can gear it towards you getting better on your instrument if that's what you want to use that time for. Let's see here. Ben says, good morning to you. Good contents on here. Thank you so much, Ben. I mean, there's only one place for the there's only one place for the first. Yep. What Ricky Bobby, if you ain't first, you're last. Question, what is the name of your 6-string bass? What type of bass is it? This particular bass is a serene bass. Most of you guys know me for my warrior basses that I've been playing for years, but I'm now, as far as my 6-string bass, I'm playing this serene bass now. Hopefully there are places for others. Absolutely, there is a place for others. There's only first place in a particular competition, but there are several competitions everywhere. So there are a lot of first places everywhere. If you create your own category, you can always be first in your own category. If you create your own lane, there ain't but one first place in your lane, and that would be you. But if you offer 30%, well, you know you're going to be lower in the bracket for your own lane, for whatever that is, in terms of what your first place is versus what you're giving. You have to look at what that top thing is for you and what you're bringing to the table. If you know you're capable of doing 100%, but you're only doing 30, 60%, 40%, 50, and so on, you know you're not giving your all. So you're not even placing first in your own lane, in your own category. So the biggest thing is try to make sure you put your whole self out there so that you can definitely dominate first place in your own lane. How about social network handling? A lot of musicians now spend more time networking than honoring their craft, than honing their craft. How do you handle this when you can't stand networking? Networking is important to a degree. You have to have relationships. Relationships are very vital. You don't want to be antisocial as a musician, especially if you plan to work. If you plan to work with people, and as a musician, you have to work with people unless you are a solo artist and you're getting gigs with just you by yourself. You have to learn how to network with people. But I wouldn't say just spend all your time doing that. I don't, personally, I don't spend my time trying to network with people. There's work I do on social media. I've been on social media for years. Most of you know me because of social media. But I try to be social and I try to talk to people like now. This is what we're doing. We're interacting. But at the same time, I think it's about being true to who you are, just being you and being approachable and being able to communicate with people when when you need to communicate with people, and not always talking to people just because you're trying to get something out of them, because that can be the downfall. A lot of people spend time networking, but you're only networking with people just so you can get something out of them. You're not necessarily networking, you're just trying to leech or be a taker from people. And most people who are in more successful positions, they can smell that. They can smell when somebody is only after them for something that they can get from them, as opposed to what can I add to this relationship? What type of value can I add to this relationship? And so I would say the balance in that is just make sure when you're networking and it's genuine, just to build relationships. Because here's the thing about networking that people can miss. You can run to this person because they have this big major gig, or they are this big name person, and you run to them and you pass 40 other people trying to get to this big star or this big celebrity musician or whoever this big name person is, and you pass over the guy who has no name and you don't know who they are, and you ignore them. You don't respond to them, or if you putting videos up and they comment on your videos. And granted, in my case, I can't get to everybody's comment all the time because there's so many people, which I'm thankful. But when I get an opportunity to go and read all my messages, I try my best to respond. Between all three platforms, it's hard to respond to everybody. But if you don't have that many views and you have a few people that's talking, and especially you notice that regular people are speaking to you, meaning these people show up constantly, but because you don't know who they are, you never interact with them, you're being dismissive with people, because just because they're nobody today, you don't know who they might be tomorrow. And the thing I've come to learn is that this person who seems like a nobody might end up getting promoted to a position, or might be in a place, or they won't give them the time of day in conversation. You'll never get access to the things that they had that could have been a benefit to you, because you're skipping over them trying to get to somebody else who's more important, that you think is more important. Remember what I said at the beginning of our discussion. These things are temporary. It's seasonal. Just because you're on top today don't mean you're going to be on top tomorrow. So there's an old saying that my mom used to tell me: you got to be careful how you treat people on your way up, because you got to meet those same people on your way back down. So again, just in your networking and that kind of stuff. And I know you had a two-part question. You asked about the honing the craft and that kind of thing. That honing the craft is definitely important. So on either end of the spectrum, you can't be so far left or so far right on either one of the subjects. You can't spend all your time honing your craft that you're so antisocial that you have nothing to do with anybody. And on the other end of it, you can't spend so much time being so social that you suck. You don't have, your skill doesn't match your mouth. So I think having that balance to where you're doing both, being visible on social media is good, especially nowadays, because social media now has become your resume. If you're a musician, social media is your resume. So you have to keep that in mind. So with that, I didn't even mean to go here, but with that in mind, be careful, be mindful of what you post on social media. I can't say that enough with musicians, man. You kill yourself. A lot of you guys kill yourself with what you post. And that might not pertain to anybody that's watching today, but people are watching. People are watching you. Your employers are watching you. If you work, especially if you guys that work for a church, some guys I see, they just post anything. I'm like, man, you do know your employers are watching the stuff that you put up. So you have to be mindful of your private life. And I heard Dr. Miles Monroe said, if you're a believer, you shouldn't have a private life. And I know that sounds a little crazy, but he was saying in the regard of what you do in private should be the same as what you do in public. Granted, there are things that are reserved for only private, like you wouldn't turn your camera on when you go to the bathroom, obviously. So there are some things that we know that happens in private that need to stay in private. But as it pertains to your character, if your private life can't be showed without your character being exposed, then you have no character. You are a character. Quoting Dr. Miles Monroe, if your private life doesn't match who you claim to be publicly, then you are a pretender. You are a character. You're not real. Your character should be consistent. So, which means for you church musicians and you cats that are doing things that in public reflect you in a certain light, if we can't find you being the same person in private, that means you're pretending. You're not the person that you say you are. So you have to make sure that your private life matches the public persona that you put out. So when you become famous or if you get fame, your private life doesn't ruin you. It doesn't bring you to ruin. So that's another thing with just your whole social thing, just making sure that that private life matches with the persona that you're trying to give out to everybody else. Um, Let me see here. Good morning, family. Just checking in from Virginia. I'm born here. What's up? Good morning. This is Stephen Powell. Good morning. What is your approach with toxic leaders, MDs, who only care about themselves and do not appreciate other band members? Ooh, ugh. Been there, done that. I'm not gonna say it's rare because a lot of musicians can become very egotistical and self-centered, like because of their gift and because they're so good at what they do, they can look down on people, not understanding everybody comes from a different background. I say you got to exercise grace. You have to exercise the same grace that you've been given, because you just like they don't know your reference point, you don't know their reference point. But at some point, when the timing is right, in a respectable way, you have to address it. You have to call them on it. By all means, you have to call them on it. But you have to do it because they're in a leadership role to you. You have to do it with respect. You can't do it when you're angry. You can't call them on. You can't wait till somebody tick you completely off. Now you want to call. Oh, I got something for you. Oh, you want to talk? No, you can't. I got something for you. You know how we do. You can't do that. You have to do it in a respectable manner. Maybe pull them off to the side. Maybe shoot them a text message outside of a group chat. You know what I'm saying? Outside of the public arena. Maybe doing it face to face on your job is not the right place to do it unless it's been previously discussed. You should sit down and be a professional. At the end of the day, if you're a musician, if you're working, at the end of the day, be a professional. Be a professional. So if you have to address them about it, be professional about it. Look, these are some things, and be able to back up what you're talking about. I'm not saying in the sense of keep a record of wrong, but if there's some incidents that you can refer to, so you're not just coming up with accusations that you have no backing for. If you're going to come to them, you need to be able to present what it is you're talking about. So write it down. If something happens that's a little off, make note of it. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, this really made me angry this day. So when you get to talking to them, you can have a controlled conversation and you can let them know as to what it was specifically that they done. So you're not dumping a whole bunch of stuff on them. You're always doing this. You're always saying this. Always, and words like that don't go over well when you're trying to help or when you're trying to build a relationship or when you're trying to strengthen something. Because if you're in a unit with this person, the ultimate thing, unless they're just a horrible person, the ultimate thing is you don't want to tear that person down. You don't want to send that person away. If they're a decent individual, regardless of the type of leader they are, if they're a decent person, you want the best for them. Because the reality of it is you're probably not going to spend the rest of your life on that gig. So we shouldn't want to just completely destroy people with our words and with just telling people how bad they are. A lot of times you find in situations like that, people are overcompensating for something else. So especially us as believers, if you are a believer, you want to be sensitive to those things and not be so self-righteous, and check yourself. That's another thing I want to say. Before going to talk to somebody else, check yourself. Because if you don't check yourself on the front end, you're going to definitely have to check yourself on the back end. Because guess what? A lot of times when we're getting ready to dump on people and we're getting ready to tell people about themselves, they got an experience from the other side of the ring that they can tell you about yourself too. And they can tell you about some things that you haven't dotted every I and crossed every T on. So you have to make sure you check yourself before you try to get somebody else right. Make sure you all on the up and up. You know what I'm saying? So check yourself, make sure you're right, and do it respectfully and do it as a professional. And that's the way I would handle that situation. Not to go on and on about that, but that's the way I would handle that situation. I would always try to make sure I handle my leader with respect. Because the thing, when the shoe is on the other foot, you got to wear it. So if you have an MD that's wilding out, that's very self-centered, that's, just disrespectful and all these different things, and you try to get them told and you try to tell them about themselves, or you call them out. I've seen cats do this, try to make a scene because they have an audience. They try to call the leader out in front of everybody. That's very disrespectful. I don't care if that person is out of line. There is a way to do everything. So now you call this person out. You didn't get anywhere with them. All you did was make them more angry with you and made yourself more of a target, because now you embarrass me in front of everybody, in front of the people that I am leading. You know what I'm saying? So now I got to make an example of you. I don't care if I am wrong. I got to make an example of you because you're challenging my authority as a leader. And you don't want to get in that kind of fight with somebody who's already egotistical, because they're going to try to, any kind of way, they're going to try to embarrass you, or they're going to try to build a case against you to try to get you fired or anything like that. So you have to be mindful of all these things before you come at somebody and get them straight. Even if they are wrong, there is a way to do it. You know what I'm saying? So hopefully that answers and clears that up for you. Like I said, being a music director myself, you have to be careful how you handle people, because you're going to be a music director one day. If you keep working on your craft, you're going to be in that position where you become a leader. And what happens when you become a leader, you notice that other thing. If you're aware, if you're a person that's very aware, you'll notice something that stands out to you, and you'll realize, oh man, I didn't even realize I was doing that when I was in that position. When I was just a band member, I didn't realize I was really leaning a lot on my leader. And the leader was doing all the work. The leader was feeding me the song. The leader was doing this. The leader was doing that. You start realizing, once you become a leader, how much stuff that leader was actually doing. But when you're just a regular member, you're just seeing it only from your perspective. So that's why I say, always just try to make sure you're doing it with respect and you remain a professional. I need advice breathing while playing. I tend to tighten up when playing phrases. I know about that. It's a lot of people that do that and hold their breath when they're playing, that kind of thing. Yeah, you just gotta relax. Remember to drop your shoulders. Remember to just kind of relax. You gotta not overthink what it is you're playing, and smiling when you play might help with that. You might say, how does smiling? Because it's hard to just smile and hold your breath. You know what I'm saying? You gotta, if you're focusing on smiling, then you're gonna be naturally breathing. If you're focusing on loosening up, focusing on something other than trying to nail this lick, focus on stage presence or something. And the simple thing is smiling. You can never go wrong with smiling. I don't care what the situation is. I'm not talking about that, that real sinister smile like you're laughing at somebody. I'm not talking about that, but just smiling, just lightening up your mode while you're playing. It will relax you, and by smiling, by focusing on smiling, you're naturally going to breathe. That's my opinion on that. I'm trying to get a 6-string bass. Some advice. I've been playing 4-string for 3 years. Greetings from Spain. Absolutely. Gabriel, I've done several videos on 6-string bass. I've done one recently on my channel, so be sure to go back to my channel and check out that video that I did. And I did another one called Are You Afraid of 6 Strings? But I think it's linked in that why I play 6 strings video. And matter of fact, once you click on my profile or my page, you should see that video at the top. So be sure to watch that video, and I give you some things about 6-string bass there that kind of, I think, will really answer your question. And at the end of the day, just go for it. Just get it. Don't overthink it. If you have the budget for it, just get it. And just find a bass that fits you and just do it. Don't put too much thought into it. Just go for it. Going back to the topic, take a risk. Just take a risk. Don't be afraid. Just do it. Let's see here. Amen. That's Marcus Jones. Thank you. I appreciate the great information, Stephen. No problem, man. Republican Vampire. This is fantastic advice. Thank you for sharing. Absolutely. Chris Hall. Good morning. I transitioned from drums to 5-string bass, and I'm a church boy. Where's a good place to start as basics? You a drummer? Put notes to rhythms. that's a good place to start. And just a shameless plug here, I have a beginner basics course on JermaineMorgan.net that you're very welcome to go and purchase that course. And I give you all the stuff you need getting started there. But yeah, just being a drummer, start putting notes to the rhythms you hear. Most of the time, drummers that are very musically inclined tend to pay attention to the other music parts. So the stuff that you're hearing in your head, start trying to get it up under your fingers, and work on all of that while improving technique, because you don't want to start with bad technique. But at the same time, I don't want to tell you to spend too much time on perfecting technique. You can perfect that as you go. Some people work on getting perfect technique and getting all these things perfect before they actually really start playing and enjoying the instrument. So work on a little bit of it at a time. There's no right or no wrong way to get started. Just get started. Just do something. You know what I'm saying? You'll find your way as you keep going. This is good therapy speech for musicians. Thank you, Ben. So true. Jason. Tyrone, thank you for giving great wisdom. God is greater things in store. I guess you meant in store there. So thanks, Tyrone. I meant to say God has great things in store for you. I appreciate that. So I just wanted to get on here and share. And I know I said something before I get off. I have never done this, but I want to do this. Chris, my pleasure. I want to do this. Most of you guys know I am a believer. And when I say a believer, I'm a follower of Jesus Christ. And I never do this because it just normally feels awkward, and I don't want to ever force anything on anybody. But you hear me talk a lot on this channel, especially my live talks about being a believer and that kind of thing. I don't want this conversation to feel like it's exclusive to people who are followers and that kind of thing. But I want to offer this to you guys who are interested and who have no clue about what it is I'll be talking about when I'm talking a lot. I know it feels a lot directed to only church musicians and people who are only followers. But if you're interested, and if you want to know more about what it is I talk about and where it is I play from, where it is I give credit to all the time, that is Jesus. That's who it is. That's who it is I'm about. That's what I represent, and that's what I hope to show you guys in my actions and in what it is I do. I take no credit for anything that's worth. I take all the credit for the bad notes and the lack of whatever you hear. But if it's anything that's praiseworthy that you find that I do on this instrument, all credit goes to God, my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. And if you want to know him, if you want to have a relationship with him, if you want to know this God I'm always referring to, this Jesus I'm always talking about, that gives me the confidence, that gives me the ideas to constantly pour out and to constantly give, is very simple. There's a scripture in the Bible, Romans 10:9. It says that thou shalt confess with your mouth the Lord Jesus and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead. Many of you on here already know about this, but I am aware that there might be one person watching this video who has never heard of Jesus, who doesn't know anything about him, but the guy who died for our sins. And I can tell you a lot more about him. I'm not going to spend this whole video doing this. But if you're willing to confess with your mouth and believe in your heart the Lord Jesus, just say Jesus, and believe that God has raised him from the dead, then you will be saved. I mean, it's that simple. It's that simple, and I'm not here to get into any religious rhetoric or any of that stuff. I'm not here for that. And I'm not here to try to tell somebody how to live their life, anything like that. But I feel like, and I apologize to the people who have watched me several times and I've never said anything or offered you salvation, and I missed opportunities with you guys, and I do apologize for that. But I think I would be doing you a disservice to not give you an opportunity to know the God that I serve, and he is completely awesome. When I say I've experienced a lot of success in my career, man, y'all got to understand where I come from. The reason why I can never be arrogant about anything that I do is because I come from, like, man, I come from Mississippi in a small town, very little to no musical influence in terms of jazz and all this extra stuff that you hear me play. I didn't come up around it. I didn't come up privileged. I didn't come up playing expensive basses. when I did learn to play music, um, I learned to play on cheap stuff. I played guitar for years, and I played through a keyboard amp because that's what my mom had. My mom was a keyboard player at a church. I couldn't afford to get expensive equipment and that kind of stuff. I had stuff, but it was always cheap pretty much all my life until I got to college, or really after college. I could buy it on my own. My parents worked very, very hard, and they served. They were always in the church. Uh, they were always in the church and that kind of thing. And I did learn about serving people. If nothing else, I learned about serving people. And I thank God for a good system of parents who helped me to realize what it was about. It wasn't about licks. It wasn't about playing and showing off and none of that stuff. So I feel like the things that I give you guys that's worthy, that you can use, they've been freely given to me. Some of the stuff hasn't been freely given to me. I had to pay for a lot of these experiences with my life, and it cost me a lot. It cost me a lot to stand and be true and to be honest. It's not popular. And I will say, accepting Jesus as your Savior is not popular nowadays. Even for me to be talking about it on this channel, I run a risk of them flagging my video or something like that because it can be offensive to people. So I take the risk, and I take whatever comes with it, because I feel like it's more important for the few of you who are watching this to know Jesus than it is for my name to be glorified or my name to be in lights. If I never go any higher in my career, I'm okay with what God has blessed me and what He's allowed me to do. But if you want to know more about Him, inbox me. I mean, if you want to talk more about Jesus, I will make time to talk to you. And I'm not talking about a charged call. I will talk to you, and I'll make time for you. So that's all I got, y'all, for today. Somebody said, are you gonna drop a lick on the fly? I'll do it just because you said. Yeah, there you go. So thanks, that was needed, and I'm sure it was well received. Stay rooted. Absolutely. Luke, thanks for your willingness to be transparent from South Mississippi, the hometown. Yes, sir. But yeah, so I pray that this has been helpful to somebody. And if, like I said, if it's one person, if you accepted Jesus today and you accepted Him because of this video, please inbox me. Please send me a message, whether it's on Instagram. I'm J Morgan Bass on Instagram. I'm Jermaine Morgan on Facebook. I have two pages. I have a personal page and I have a artist page. So if you accepted Jesus today, please send me a message. My direct email is jmorganbass@gmail.com, and let me know that, man, look, I heard all that you talked about, and I want to know more about this Jesus that you're talking about, and I did accept Him today. Send me a message. I would love to know that you did, just from this video. So again, man, it's been an honor to share with you guys. I'll try to be here as much as I can. I can't make any guarantees, but if I'm available, I will be here to try to talk. So I missed a message. I thought I saw a message come up. But yeah, so that's all I have, guys. Again, this weather is getting bad. It's been raining all day around here. I don't know I'm not saying the weather's getting bad. It's just been raining a lot. But I wanted to do that. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. And hopefully you enjoyed this talk. I really enjoyed talking to you guys, being able to connect with you. And go replay this video if you found something helpful in it. Replay it, share it with somebody. And yeah, man. Thanks, Floyd. So yeah, other than that, I will see you guys. I've been on here way longer than I expected to, but it's all good. I enjoy hanging with y'all. So y'all have a great day. I'm out of here. I got to get on with life. So y'all take care. Peace.